Hello, my name is Jason Lupton, and this is my final assignment for the FTT 210 Muzzleloader Lab. Today we'll be discussing the process of building the muzzleloader and kind of going over some of the things that we found in the process. So first things first, I do not have any ammunition for the muzzleloader, especially not in this area. It's a little bit difficult to check it, but I do not have anything in the barrel. We can check that by using our muzzleloader bore sight that I just dropped. Our bore light, excuse me. Take this, stick it down in there, visually check that there's nothing in there. It's good to go. Keep our finger away from the trigger and do a function check. Half cock, it's good to go, won't move. Pull the trigger, nothing happens. Pull it full cock, push the trigger reset, or the trigger release, and then firing, and it brings it forward. We have no percussions. First thing we started off with was inletting our butt plate and our toe plate. And we'll kind of get you some close-up videos and pictures here in a minute. So to start with, the first process was to apply the inletting compound to the butt plate, and then using our rubber mallet, I used this one here, and sometimes this one here for a little bit more momentum. But basically, so we placed the butt plate into place, and we used our hammer to hit it at a 45-degree angle to transfer our marking to our wood. And then using various chisels, we removed the wood that needed to be removed to give ourselves basically a good fit for the metal to the wood. So that meant I had to cut out quite a bit up here on the top of the buttstock to allow the butt plate to move forwards, and then cutting a considerable hump out of the top back here for it basically to slide over. I did get a little bit too overzealous when cutting back here on the actual butt portion, the shoulder portion, so it doesn't secure the butt plate that I'd like it to, and I may end up readjusting that later with some acro glass or something. Kind of fill it in a little bit and give myself a good solid seat. Actually, I guess the first thing we did was inlet the lock, and again applying compound to our lock, and then using our little hammer to tap it in, find out any spots that it was tight on. And we did have a couple of spots, but it was mostly right around in this area and right around in this area. We were able to remove that material. So after inletting those, we inletted our trigger guard. That was a little bit more difficult because we had to shape our metal to the wood, or clean up all of the excess slag and stuff on the metal, and then shape the wood to that. Maybe you'll see it, but I've got a little bit of extra gap right here that I don't like, and that may end up being filled in with acro glass as well later. The great thing about acro glass is you put it in there, you push down the metal to it, and it will fill in all the holes. So after we did that, it was installing the barrel, which meant installing the tenons on the barrel, which you can't really see right now because I've got to put this together. But it was late and I was in a rush and not paying as much attention as I wanted to, and I ended up putting the barrel tenons in the sight dovetails. I was able to rectify that. I've got the barrel tenons in the proper place now and drilled and pinned. I did have to do a little bit of cleanup on the barrel channel in order to get a good fit. That actually came out really well. I was impressed with that. Inletting our rear thimble was a bit of a pain. I ended up having to actually bend the thimble a little bit because with it screwed down onto our stock, our hand grip, it would stick out this way. So I had to straighten that a little bit. Tapping the screws for the thimble was a chore. I went by the instructions to drill our holes and then use the screw to actually tap the metal. Well, I ended up stripping the screws and had to acquire new screws, which I had some on hand, in order to redo that hole. So I actually brought my tap set from work to make that a little bit easier. Did the same thing on the front thimble, and I've actually got the stock screw in that one. For the nose cap, there was a lot of cleanup on that. So I ended up having to clean out the portion that is next to our barrel here. I ended up having to clean out the portion at the front of the nose cap. And then I had to clean up the area where it meets the wood. A lot of filing, a lot of shaping, but we got it about where we wanted to. Now when it comes to the actual shaping of the stock, that was fun. So I actually went out and bought a Shenandoah rasp. And this actually worked out really well. It's coarse on this side and finer on this side, which allowed me to get closer to my metal components. I did end up scratching the metal a little bit, but now I've got it all polished up and it looks pretty good. Let's see if I can get some better light on there. So it's kind of shiny now. Some finish polishing left to do, but anyways. So got the stock shape down. I did want a little bit of a rise here on the comb, so I didn't go like the instructions told us on video. He basically had a straight line from the top of his butt plate to the forward section of the comb here, and it was just a straight line. I gave myself a little bit of a hump there. Shaped the wrist a little bit better, and I shaped the buttstock here to the toe plate to make that look pretty darn good. Had to reshape the butt plate because it actually protruded by about an inch and a half. So we ground that down, shaped it to the toe plate, and then shaped the toe plate to the butt plate as well. I think it came out pretty good. It's really smooth. Gives a little bit of a homemade feel, I guess you would say. And then continue on, we shaped the wrist up into the barrel area, and had to knock this down considerably because it was rather high. It still could probably go down just a little bit, but I think I'm going to leave it for now because I'm going to try my hand at carving. So I'm going to make a pattern here to give it a old-timey feel. Shaping our flats here where our screws go in for our lock and the lock plate. It kind of just fell off into the handguard here. It wasn't really pronounced. So we did some shaping for the lock plate and the other side. It's hard to tell in this light, but just give it a little bit more defined shape and made it look like it was meant to be there. I did not take the stock down, or the foregrip down very much. I'm not sure how much of that I lost. Alright, so we didn't lose much. But here, so had to knock this down here. I wasn't sure exactly how much to actually take off of this area as it meets up with the back of the barrel, but I think we came out all right. Next thing we did is we shaped our hand grip here to try to match up with our thimble contours, and then got that in where we wanted it, shaved down our ramrod channel a bit, and then we shaped our toe cap area. I didn't take it down all the way down to the toe cap on this bottom section here, but I got it pretty close up here, and it may end up getting a little bit more removed there depending on how things look after I do my carvings and stuff like that. So it wasn't really clear on how much this should actually be taken down, but I did want it more rounded to look like it's transitioning up into our nose cap here. But so that's pretty much the muzzleloader build. I've got it all put together now, except for I don't have the sights on yet. I'm not gonna worry about putting those on until after we brown the barrel in the next class. I do have the percussion cap attachment here in place and our breech closeout here. I'm supposed to check the function of the trigger. And I did that backwards. Alright, so first thing we do is make sure that our trigger set works and it locks in. And we'll go to half cock. Make sure it holds, it doesn't jam forward, and pull the trigger, it just stops on the sear. So reset our trigger again, go to half cock, then to full cock, and then we cannot push the trigger forward. Pull the trigger and it releases. So this is our muzzleloader. This was an interesting build. I learned a lot. I learned a lot of things that I shouldn't do and things that I should do better. Tools that I would need to make this job easier. And I may end up doing a video later to add to that. Like this Shenandoah rasp. Probably one of the best purchases that I've ever made. I would say these 3 chisels are not all that you need. They are helpful. They do quite quite a bit of good, and I was able to do most of the work with this. However, I found this cheap scraper is great for removing small amounts of material when you're inletting. This one has different blades that are reversible that you can use to get into those weird spots. And this also has different blades that you can use to contour the wood on your build. So that's the muzzleloader build, and I appreciate it. So things that I learned from the muzzleloader lab. First thing is that I did not know anything about woodworking until I started the muzzleloader lab. I've been doing carpentry stuff and things like that all my life, adult life, but having to shape wood using hand files and tools, I've never had to do that. So I learned a lot about shaping wood. One thing that I think that this muzzleloader lab prepared me for was doing the gunsmithing that I want to do. Part of that is, so right here I have the stock from my grandfather's Model 190 Winchester, the rifle that he taught me to shoot with. It has seen better days. It's been through a flood. It has been in storage for years. So I want to not only fix everything that's messed up already, but I want to dedicate it to my grandfather. So in order to do that, I have purchased this stock from an online source, Numeric Gun Barns actually. And I am going to try to make it work for my grandfather's old rifle. Now, one thing that you'll notice is the pistol grip is different compared to the old one. So it's going to be a straight stock 22 repeat semi-automatic. Anyways, so shaping the stock to fit the new rifle, I have to do inletting, and that is one of the biggest things that I learned through the muzzleloader lab. So basically, applying the inletting compound to the metal, tapping this onto the receiver, and then cutting out anything that needs to be cut out, shaping it to the rifle. And this is just step one. And then shaping the stock to my specifications, or if I was doing this for a customer, the customer specifications. I believe that I am prepared to start. Now, to get great at this is going to take a considerable amount of time and practice. So that's why I'm starting now. I knew that I was going to be taking a lot of the material off, so I have been using this as my practice stock for carving.
Motion detected at your front door.
Ignore that. So this is my first attempt at carving, and I like it. I may end up just getting another one, not gonna lie. So those are parts that I've learned, and then I've never messed with a muzzleloader, so this has taught me quite a bit. I didn't realize the amount of work that it took to go into this job. I honestly thought this was going to be a fairly easy project. I've got probably 45 to 50 hours just in this right now, and it's not even finished. So it's taught me quite a bit. Going to cite my sources and everything in my PowerPoint, and I'll have that turned into you shortly. Thank you again.